All right, so this lesson is going to be kind of about colors and how we can do drawings with varying colors. We're going to work towards some random colors and some like pulsating colors. So first, I wanted to go through a few things. So um, when I was looking at the color section, I saw a pretty nice photo of like different progressive black and white colors. So starting with dark and then working its way towards white and like a grayscale kind of continuum. And I thought, all right, I'm going to try and program this thing. So I started with like the most basic program I could think of. Like, let's make a window of size 400 and 255. Okay. And then I was going to make a rectangle with fill 0, so black, at this location, 400, 0, 0, so top left corner of the screen, and 400 pixels wide and 10 pixels high. So we've got a rectangle that covers like a strip at the top like this, and it's going to be black. Then I wanted to go progressively lighter, so I chose color 10, and then I wanted that rectangle to be below the other one so that it filled this section, and then one below that that's a little bit lighter, and then one below that that's a little bit lighter. So it's kind of this continuum of gray, going from black to white, sorry, with gray in between. So if you look at my code, each of these kind of blocks is just getting progressively lighter. So starting with black and then working towards white. So the fill color is 10, then 20, then 30, then 40. And remember, if we just put one number, we're just doing a grayscale color. We're not doing RGB color. So, and then I was moving my rectangle down. So keeping the same size, 400 wide and 10 pixels high, but moving it down 10 spaces each time. So here it's at 10. So the top left corner is going to be at 0, 10, and then 0, 20, then 0, 30, and so on. So it's always starting at the left and working its way across when it's drawing it. So I did that, and I just copy and pasted, and I changed all these numbers, and it took me forever, but you can see the pattern that I'm following, right? The fill color is the same as the coordinate location. So that's quite nice. There's a bit of a pattern. The size doesn't change. It's always 400 by 10 wide. And I just kept doing this until I had enough that filled the screen. And if I click play, okay, so we start with black and we're working down to white, 255. And these are like progressions of 10. So this is 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And these are all the different colors. So I thought that was kind of cool, but like, what if we wanted to do that with some more simplified code? Because it's not very easy to have to type all that. That probably took me like 20 minutes. And it's not very efficient either when the computer's running it, because it's running this once, and then it's running this once, and this once, and this once, and it has to go through, what are we at, 109 lines of code, minus the spaces in between. So then I thought, right, well, there's got to be an easier way to do this. And there is. So I can make the same program with this much code, 6 lines. So that's pretty impressive. And if I click play, it gives me the same thing. So I've got the same color gradient, I've got the same window size, and it did the exact same thing except in 6 lines instead of 100. So what is happening here, and why do computer programmers use this? Well, obviously it's efficient. And basically what I did was I said, let's declare an integer value, and we'll call it I. So I'm creating this variable I. And I'm first going to set it to be 0. So that's what that first statement means, is that the integer value I made up called I is going to be starting at 0. But I don't want it to ever go above 255, because that's the maximum number I can have for colors. So it's always got to be less than 255. So I'm setting some rules, some parameters for this variable I just declared. And then each time we go through this cycle of running this program, I want the I value, it starts at 0, and then in my last program it became 10, then 20, then 30. So each time I just want it to add 10 to get progressively lighter, starting with black and getting lighter and lighter. So I did that. I set the rule basically. In addition to this rule, the parameter of like it's got to be less than 255. This is like the rule that we're going to follow. Each time we go through this loop, we're going to add 10 and add 10 and add 10 until it gets to 255, and then it'll stop because it doesn't meet the rule that I put in here. Okay. And for all of these kind of programs, these looping programs, you need to follow the same pattern. You need to declare the variable, you need to set the parameter, and then you need to tell it what it's going to execute. What's the process that it's going to iterate through? So I filled the inside of the rectangle with whatever color I was. So I would start with 0, and then it would go 10, then 20, and then 30. So it was going through this loop. The stroke, so the color of the outside of the rectangle, the pen color, and another way to think about it, is also going to be I. And then the rectangle is drawn at 0, the top corner is at 0, and whatever I is. And then the size of the rectangle is 400 by 10. And it goes through this. It plugs in I for 0, and it does it once, and then it goes back to the top, and then it plugs in I is 10, and it goes back to the top, and then I is 20, and then adds another 10 to get I is 30, and 40, and so on. Okay, so if I click play, like I said, it's going to do the exact same thing as I asked it to do before. So you could take this code, I'll paste it into the Edpuzzle link, and I would be interested to see if you could do the same but make it red. So instead of going from black to white, maybe you go from dark red to light red, and you kind of work your way down that scale, or green, or blue, or some variation of those colors. So I'd be interested in you trying to take this code and make it colorful and experiment with that. So I will copy and paste that, and I want you to give that a try first. Then we can go to a more advanced code. So when I did this, I thought, right, it's cool. It looks nice. It's pretty aesthetically pleasing. It was nice to learn about how to make these 4 loops. That's what they're called. And then I thought, well, what if I wanted to do like varying colors or change it up? So I found a YouTube video and followed a tutorial that gave me this code. And I'm going to copy and paste this code without numbers and see if you guys can follow along by filling in some of the numbers. Okay, so I declared a variable at the top here. This is a new skill. This is called a float variable. Integer variable that I declared before in the last program. Integers are things like -5, -4, -3. They're whole numbers, full numbers, no decimals, and they could be positive or negative. But a float variable can be a decimal, so it could be like 3.45621, whatever. It can be a long decimal, it could be a small decimal, it doesn't matter. But float variables are much nicer to work with, and typically won't give you any errors. Sometimes if you use an integer variable, it'll give you an error because it won't be calculating it properly. So we use float variables just like we use integers, and I've declared this thing called rainbow size. I can call it anything because I'm making a rainbow, I thought, and it's related to the size of the rainbow. We'll call it rainbow size, and we'll make it equal to 0 to start with, but it's going to change as we go through the program. On the setup, I made it 300 by 300, no problems there. The background is 255, so it's going to be white. And this is a new one too, no fill. So it means that anything I draw, if it's a rectangle or a circle or an ellipse or whatever, it doesn't have any shading inside. It's just the line on the outside. So then I go through a draw loop. This repeats, remember, it goes through this and then it goes back to the top and then it does it again and again and again, and it just constantly rolls through. This one will never end because I haven't given it any ending parameters, but so I declared the pen at the start of this particular round to be a random RGB color. So it just chooses a random number from 0 to 255. Same for blue, same for green, and same for blue. Then I chose a random rainbow size. So I'm redeclaring the rainbow variable to be a random number between 100 and 270. 270 because I didn't want it to go outside of my window, which is 300 by 300, but if I made it bigger, I could make an adjustment. And then I'm drawing an ellipse, so the circle, well, it's circle in this case because it's 150, because it's going to be rainbow size, and rainbow size is going to be the same. If I made this like plus 10 or something and made it a little bit bigger, then it's going to be more elongated. So the ellipse is going to be drawn with 150 and 150 as the center point, which happens to be the center of this window, 300 by 300. And then I'm drawing a rainbow between 100 and 270 in size, depending on what random number it's just chosen. And the color is also random, and then it's just repeating this. So pretty impressive when we click play on this because it makes this like really cool pulsating rainbow. Okay, so there it is. It's just constantly drawing circles of random color and random size between 100 high, so here's 100, and 270. There's 270 on the outside. So it's just picking a random one, it's drawing a circle, and it's making this kind of rainbow shape. We can add another thing in the end here. I've just commented it out. It's called stroke weight. That's how thick the line's going to be. So the stroke weight could be a whole range of different numbers, but let's just choose random numbers between 3 and 10 so that it's not too wide. And let's add that in and see what it does to our program. So now you can see it's varying the width, it's varying the color, and it's varying the location. So it's making this kind of cool rainbow animation. So I want you to take this code. Your challenge is to make this a rainbow. So I don't want the whole circle. I want this so that it looks like a rainbow. Maybe it has a blue sky, maybe it has a cloud and the sun or something like that. But I want you to make this animation look more like a rainbow instead of a circle, and take a screenshot and save it. Or take a video, even better. If you do Command-Shift-5, you can do a screencasting video on your MacBook. Okay, good luck with it, and I'll come around and help you.